An international informant dupes the FBI with false statements against President Biden and his son. Can you believe it? Now, I say the FBI was duped, but were they? As we read along on this next story, written directly by the Bureau, the U.S. Department of Justice, so it's all facts. I've read this story once. It sounds to me like the FBI knew this guy, who was Russian / Ukrainian, was giving false information about President Biden just before he became president and President Biden's son. Yet they allowed him to continue to give them false statements, knowing he wasn't as high of a standard in the community he claimed to be in. As he claimed to be. I guess I said that wrong. Anyway, it seems like they knew he wasn't that big of a deal. Yet, they allowed him to keep giving them false statements, and then somehow arrested him in Las Vegas, Nevada, even though he's not from this country. So he would have no reason to come here unless he's running from his own government. But it almost sounds like he was trying to help his government out and giving false information to the FBI. I don't know. It's all very interesting. So we'll get into that real soon. Before we get started real quick though, please, if you don't know me, get to know me. Hit that like and subscribe button. I know this video isn't like my other videos to do with corrupt cops, corrupt officials, but it is in the same ballpark of corruptions. So hit that like and subscribe button. Check out my other videos, which do have to do with corrupt cops and corrupt officials. And as always, if this video goes past 10 minutes, which it probably will, jump over to YouTube. If you're on TikTok, you can always catch the full video there. I hope to God y'all are still here, and if you are, let's get into this story, shall we? This was written, like I said a minute ago, directly from the U.S. Department of Justice. Read to you by yours truly. A grand jury returns indictment charging FBI confidential human source with felony false statements and obstruction crimes. Today, and this story was written, here, let me give you that to you real fast. This was updated Wednesday, February 15th, 2024. So this is very, very, very recent. Now let's continue. Today, a federal court unsealed a 2-count indictment returned by a federal grand jury in the Central District of California charging Alexander Smirnov, age 43, with making a false statement in violation of 18 U.S.C. S. 1001 and creating a false and fictitious record in violation of 18 U.S.C. S. 1519 for statements he made that were recorded in an official record of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI as we all know them, known as a Form 1023. David C. Weiss, special counsel, made the announcement. On February 14th, 2024, a federal grand jury returned the indictment, and Smirnov was arrested at the Henry Reed International Airport in Las Vegas, Nevada, after his arrival in the U.S. from overseas. Later today, Smirnov will have an initial appearance at the federal courthouse in the District of Nevada at 2:30 p.m. Pacific Time. According to the indictment, Smirnov was a confidential human source, a CHS, with the FBI, as alleged in the indictment, despite repeated admonishments that he must provide truthful information to the FBI and that he must not fabricate evidence. Smirnov provided false derogatory information to the FBI about Public Official 1, Joe Biden. I promise it'll explain that in the report. I'm just letting you know ahead of time. So Public Official 1, Joe Biden, and Business Person 1, the son of Public Official 1, which is Joe Biden's son, of course, in 2020, after Public Official 1 became a presidential candidate. The indictment alleges that in March 2017, Smirnov reported to an FBI agent that he had had a phone call with the owner of Ukrain industrial conglomerate Burisma Holdings. It's a long worded business. Limited concerning Burisma interest in acquiring a U.S. company and making an initial public offering, an IPO, on a U.S.-based stock exchange. In reporting that conversation to the FBI agent, Smirnov also noted that business person 1, public official 1's son, was a member of Burisma's board, a fact that was publicly known. You hear that? So he was giving information that was publicly known. This wasn't false information, but it was like he was trying to feed the FBI and get some sort of perks. Let's continue. Where was I? Okay. The indictment alleges that Smirnov provided no further information. Jesus Christ, I'm fogging up here. 3 years later, in June 2020, the indictment alleges that Smirnov reported for the first time 2 meetings in 2015 and or 2016, as alleged in the indictment. Smirnov falsely claimed that during these meetings, executives associated with Burisma admitted to him that they hired business person 1, Biden's son, to, quote, protect us through his dad from all kinds of problems, and later that they had specifically paid $5 million each to public official 1 and business person 1 when public official 1 was still in office, so that business person 1 will take care of all those issues through his dad, referring to a criminal investigation being conducted by the then Ukrain prosecutor general into Burisma, and to, quote, deal with the then Ukraine prosecutor general. So, saying this company who wanted to be on the stock exchange as an IPO paid Biden's son, and apparently, if I read that correctly, Biden $5 million apiece, so they would be protected. But here's the thing. Biden wasn't a president yet. And it'll get into that. So the FBI knew this information. They knew Biden wasn't a president yet and couldn't really protect anybody. Yet they let this guy keep giving them information. Why? Why would they do that? Let's continue. As alleged in the indictment, the events that Smirnov first reported to the FBI agent in June 2020 were fabrications. In truth and fact, the defendant had contact with executives from Burisma in 2017. After the end of the administration, when public official 1 had no ability to influence U.S. policy, and after the Ukraine prosecutor general had been fired in February 2016, the indictment alleges that the defendant transformed his routine and unextraordinary business contact with Burisma in 2017 and later into bribery allegations against public official 1 after expressing bias against public official 1 and his presidential candidacy. So basically what it's saying, if I'm reading this correctly now, that this guy had an unextraordinary position within the company and had only made these allegations after he had expressed how he didn't really like public official 1, who is Joe Biden. So is he then trying to set Biden up? But then again, the FBI knew Biden didn't have any power that could help this man, or help this company, not this man, this company. So why would they let him continue to give them false statements? Why are they continuing to listen to this man? makes no sense. Make it make sense. Help me. Explain to me in the comments why. If you can make it make sense in your head, explain to me how it makes sense. But let's continue. As further alleged in the indictment, when he was interviewed by FBI agents in September of 2023, Smirnov repeated some of his false claims, changed his story as to other of his claims, and promoted a new false narrative after he said he met with Russian officials. It just keeps getting fishier and fishier, doesn't it? Now he's changing his claims. Now he's saying, oh, you know what? Now that I've spoke to the Russian officials, let me just change my story. If convicted, he faces a maximum penalty of 25 years in prison. Actual sentences for federal crimes are typically less than a maximum penalty. A federal district court judge will determine any sentence after taking into account the U.S. sentencing guidelines and other statutory factors. Court documents and information for this case is located on the website of the District Court of the Central District of California or on PACER, capital PACER, by searching for case number 2:24-cr-00091. An indictment contains allegations that a defendant has committed a crime. Every defendant is presumed to be innocent until and unless proven guilty in court. So why would he come to Vegas? Let's explore that for just a second. Why would he come to Vegas? He knows he gave false statements to the U.S., right? Now, he had to have known they were false. I mean, obviously he knew they were false. He was on making them. What I mean is, he had to have known that the FBI knew they were false. Because the president didn't have the power to do what he said he did. For the company to be recruiting the president and the president's son, the company would have known the president is not a president yet. He doesn't have any official power to help them. And then changes his story after what he said. He spoke with the Russians. So it's Ukrainian, I want to say Ukrainian company. It was investigated by the Ukrainian prosecutor. So was it a Ukrainian company or a Russian company? Was he working with the Russians or the Ukrainians? Sounds like the Russians, because towards the end, he was speaking with the Russians, and changing his story. So then, did they coerce him to come to Vegas, or was he running from something? What? I'm struggling to grasp what actually happened here, other than the fact that, yeah, he made false allegations, but the FBI knew they were false. It sounds like they knew the whole time. So then why would they continue to listen? Are they just indicting another man to make it sound like they didn't waste their time? Whatever agents were on this case didn't waste their time and waste taxpayers' money for years, and then finally make an arrest on someone they knew who was pointless, who it said had an extraordinary position within the company and unextraordinary contacts within the company? I don't get it. Do you? Let me know in the comments. I mean, please, if you're an FBI agent and you understand this indictment, which you should better than I do, why? Tell me why. Tell me what really happened. And why. Why they feel they should indict this man. How they got him to Vegas out of his own country. And what happened. Because to me it sounds fishy. To me it sounds like the FBI got duped and decided to be a little bit corrupt. But that's just my opinion. As I always say, please, let me know what you think in the comments. If you're still here, thank you so much for being here. I love each and every one of you. I really do. I'm so grateful that y'all are here. Thank you for sticking around to the end. And, I mean, as always, as I always say at the very end, y'all stay free, stay loved, and until the next time, stay wild.